Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul HAKIMAN bin Abdullah, and now I would like to explain the procedure for turning on the MSB. So before we turn on to the MSB, we need to wear a PPE for Lvsb switching. So we need to wear safety helmet with a fireproof shield, wear a fireproof suit, wear electrical insulation glove, and wear electrical hazard boot. So we need to ensure wear all the PPE before doing the electrical switching. So from the previous lab, we know that for LBSB, there are two MSB, which is MSB1 and MSB2. The incoming from TMB, and then from supply TMB, it will incoming to LBSB, and it will divide into MSB1 and MSB2. So the first step to turn on the MSB, firstly, we need to make sure the outgoing load is in off condition. Also make sure the ACB in off condition. Next, turn on the incoming supply. So after give LVSB supply, check the main supply on the LVSB. We can check the supply in the LVSB. So in order to connect or read in LVSB, we need to charge our ACB and make sure ACB in off condition. So to turn on the ACB, we turn the handle clockwise until the status charge to connect position. So after ACB connect to the bus bar, the ACB is in connect position, and in order to give bus bar supply, we need to turn on the ACB. So before we turn on the ACB, make sure the coil is charged first. The coil is charged manually by pulling up and down the charging handle until this charge position change to charge position. After the coil is charged, turn on the ACB while standing on the rubber mat. After turn on, we can check our bus bar supply if they are supply from the TMB. So before turn on the MCCB, we must verify first to make sure no accident happen. If the MCCB ready, we can give supply to the MCCB. First, turn on the power factor capacitor and make sure power factor can monitor the system power factor. After that, we can turn on the MCCB. Okay, so after turn on the MCCB, we can check the current status of the system. So after that, now the MSCB MSB1 is turn on. So in order to turn on for the MSB2 number 2, repeat the same step we do for the MSB1. So that's all for the explanation for turning on the MSB for this lab. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Azim bin Muhammad FAUZI and my matric card number is DE1900145. So today for exercise 4, which is the Lvsb system and operation, I will explain in detail on how to do the coupling process for MSB1 and MSB2. So for the process of coupling, I will have to explain three main process, which is the first one is the maintenance at MSB1, second one is the maintenance for ACB, and the last one is the coupling process for MSB1 and MSB2. So this is the picture for MSB, this is the MSB1, and this is the MSB2, and the last one is the ESB. So what I have to do for this lab is to do the coupling process for these two MSB. So in this lab, the MSB1 has a problem or fault, which means that there are problem with the supply to the MSB1. So what we have to do, we have to supply the from MSB2 to MSB1. So there are a few procedures that we have to follow. The first one, which is the maintenance at MSB. So the first procedure that we have to do is we have to inform the consumer before we turn off the load. Here is the load, as we can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is the load, and then after we regain the confirmation from the consumer, and then we turn off the load here, all the load, and then we turn off the power factor capacitor bank, and then after that we have to monitor the power meter here, or a meter in the digital. There are no current, which means that there are no load is turned on, and then after that we have to turn off the ACB, or the air circuit breaker here. There are a red switch here. We just have to push the button, and then the ACB will be turned off. So to ensure that the ACB is turned off, we have to monitor the indicator light here. The top one is for the bus bar, and the second one is the main supply. So when we turn off the ACB, the light at the indicator light for the bus bar is turned off, which means that there are no supply from the bus bar. And then after we turn off the ACB, we also need to turn off the main supply. They are isolated behind the MSB. We have to turn off the main supply, and the indicator light for main supply here will also be turned off. And after we check that both indicator light here are turned off, this means that the MSB1 are now fully de-energized and no supply. And then we can proceed to the process for the maintenance for the ACB. Okay, for the next one is the maintenance for the ACB. As I told you earlier, this is the ACB, which is the air circuit breaker. So I will zoom in. This is the ACB. So to do the maintenance for the ACB, we have to use the draw out handle here, and we have to rack out the ACB. What we have to do, we just have to take this draw out handle and put it in the hole here, and then we have to rotate it anti-clockwise to rack out the ACB until, as you can see here, this is the isolated. We have to place it until the third position. So we just have to rotate it anti-clockwise until the isolated at third position, and then the bus bar will be disconnected from the ACB, and then we rack out the ACB and put it on the table for the maintenance purposes. And not forget to put the signage as a note for it to show that this ACB is in the maintenance. So the next one is for the coupling process for MSB1 and MSB2. Okay, then we proceed to the coupling process for the MSB1 and MSB2. So as I told you here, as I told you earlier, this is the MSB1 and this is the MSB2. So for the coupling process, what we have to do, the first procedure is we have to take out the isolator C2 key here. So there are a few key here. There are three main key, which is the first one is the C1 isolator key, the second one is the ACB key, and the third one is the C2 isolator key. To gain the C2 isolator key, we have to unlock it by using the ACB key. So to gain the ACB key, we have to go to the ACB here, and then I will zoom in the ACB. So here the ACB, and then this is the key. What we have to do is we have to unlock the key by rotate it anti-clockwise and then pull out the key. We go to the key point here. There are three row. So the first one is for the, as I told you here, C1, ACB, and C2. So we place the ACB key at the second row, and then lock, and we will get the C2 key. So for the C1, so what we have to do to the coupling process, we have to place the C1 key to the isolator C1 and place the C2 key to the isolator C2 here at MSB2. So for this case, for this lab, MSB1 has a problem, so we have to supply the power from MSB2 to MSB1. So to turn on the isolator, we have to determine which one is the upstream and which one is the lower stream. So in this case, MSB2 is the upstream and the MSB1 is the lower stream. So we have to follow the step. We have to turn on the upstream first and then the lower stream. So next procedure, we have to turn on the isolator C2 here. We have to turn it clockwise, pump, and also the C1 key. And then after we turn on this isolator, these two isolator, we have to monitor the indicator here, indicator light here at the top one, which is the bus bar supply. When it's turned on, it means that the coupling process for the MSB2 and MSB1 has successful. And then after the MSB1 has received power from the MSB2, we have to call the consumer to tell them for them to be ready to receive supply from the MSB1. And after we regain the confirmation, we can turn on every load here and also the power factor capacitor bank. And then that's the last process, which is we have completed the coupling process for the MSB1 and MSB2. After that, we can proceed to the maintenance for the MSB1 for them to be able to restore energy and not couple from MSB1 to MSB2. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AIMAN FIKRIE bin SHAFIE. My magic number is DE190143. As for today's presentation, I will present about how to restore back the normal supply for the MSB1. Okay, so for the first step, what we need to do is we need to inform or notify the consumer that we want to turn off this Lvsb system. Okay, the second step, we need to turn off all the four power supply here, which is the EFR, ELR, and the two connection here. And then the step 3, we need to turn off the power capacitor bank. After we turn off the power capacitor bank, we need to check the current status at here, digital meter here. The current should be 0 ampere because there is no supply. Okay, the next step what we need to do is we need to turn on the isolated C1 here by push it up, and the MSB1 here, push it up, and then we need to check the bus bar indicator here. The bus bar indicator here should be de-energized, or the indicator should be turned off because there is no current to the bus bar. The next step what we need to do is we need to turn on the isolated C2 at the MSB2 by push it up, and then after that we need to take out the key here. The key we need to take out, isolated key C2, and then put it to the position number 3 here at the isolated C1. And then the next step, we need to take out the key at the isolated key from C1, and then we put it at the position number 1. And then as position number 2, which is the ACB key, we need to take it out from position number 2. And then the next step, after all the step was done, we need to insert back the air circuit breaker to to its normal position, which is at the MSB1. And then we need to use the key that we take out from the position number 2 here, and then put it to the LCB keyhole here, and then we turn it clockwise or rotate it clockwise until it unlock position. After that, what we need to do is we need to give the MSB1 the power supply from the isolator, which is from back here. Okay, after that we need to check the incoming indicator here. It should be turned on because there is supply coming from the TNB. And then after that, what we need to do, we need to open this door that hold the air circuit breaker here and take out the draw out handle of the air circuit breaker. And then what we need to do with the draw out handle, we need to put it in the hole, and then we rotate it clockwise for several times until the air circuit breaker in the connect position. After that, what we need to do, we need to charge the capacitor. We need to charge the air circuit breaker by pulling or pumping this lever several times until the indicator at the air circuit breaker turn yellow. When the indicator turn yellow or charge, we need to turn on the air circuit breaker. After that, we need to check. The bus bar indicator. The bus bar indicator here should be turned on because there is supply coming from the incoming and then to the bus bar. And then after we done with all the steps, we need to notify the consumer that we want to turn on the Lvsb system because the MSB1 already work properly. And then what we need to do is we need to turn on back this 4 power supply here, which is EFR, ELR and 2 connection here. And then we need to turn on back the power capacitor bank here. And then after we done that, all the step that we need to done to restore back the normal supply for the MSB1. And then what we need to do, the final step is we need to record all the work that we have done in the logbook. I think that's all for my part. Thank you.